Shqipëria është një vend I vogël, por ka dhënë një mesazh të madh për botën. Mikpritje dhe gjendja pranë në momente të vështira atyre që kanë nevojë. Pas eksodit masiv të kosovarëve, kur Milošević vendosi t'i shpor ata nga trojet shqiptare, këtë herë jemi në një tjetër histori. Janë populli afgan të cilët përballë talibanëve gjen një pamundësi për të jetuar. Gra, vajza, familje janë ndihmuar për të ardhur në Shqipëri. Rrugtimi nuk ka qenë I lehtë, në fakt edhe për 59 prej tyre të ndihmuar nga Yalda Hakim dhe fondacioni I saj. Në përditshme Yalda Hakim është gazetare, po ashtu është një shtetase australiane sot, por origjina e saj është afgane. Për mikrofonin e Report Televizion, Yalda Hakim do të tregoj se si ishte kjo histori për të ndihmuar dhe për të sjellë në Shqipëri 59 bashkombas të saj, por se si ishte ai moment kur për herë të parë para 2 javësh mori një telefonat nga zëdhënësi I talibanëve I cili deklaronte se kishin marrë kontrollin e Afganistanit. Thank you very much for this interview, Yalda. It's your first day in Albania?
That's right, it's my first day in Albania. I landed in Tirana last night, and I'm so grateful for the friendship and hospitality that the Albanian people have shown to the Afghan people. When your Prime Minister said that you were Afghans once and we have a shared pain, this is evident from everything I'm hearing from these people here, how grateful they are to Albania.
2 weeks ago you have taken a phone call when you was on air by a spokesman of Taliban. How is this day and this moment for you? They told to you that they have won Afghanistan.
You know, that night I was speaking to some of these young women who are here, and they were in Kabul, and they said to me, we're very frightened. We hear that the Taliban have come to the gates of Kabul and we don't feel safe. And I was messaging them in the morning when Kabul was about to fall, and they were so frightened. And so I messaged the spokesperson of the Taliban and said, tell me what is going on. What are you all doing? What is your intention? What do you plan to do to Kabul? And what do you plan to do to these people? I was speaking to all of these guys. And he called me while I was on air, live. And he tried to be more reassuring and say that we are not going to enter Kabul, we are not going to kill anyone, we are not going to attack anyone. But still, all of these people were very nervous. So it was a very difficult day, the fall of Kabul, a very tragic day. I think we realized that the gains of the last 20 years, the incredible work that many of the people here did to build their country, they're journalists, they're civil society, they are active members of their society. All of these young people were trying to build their country. They didn't want to leave. They wanted to stay and build their country. But the circumstances were such that they had to run for their lives. And that was a very tragic and difficult moment to see.
In your life you have done so many news and so many films, but how could you explain with some simple words this news, this story for the people, for all over the world?
You know what it is like when it is the country of your birth. Even if I grew up somewhere else, I grew up in Australia, I've spent the last 10 years living in London, but Afghanistan is the country of my birth. It's where my ancestors were from, it's my blood. And so I could never feel completely disconnected from the country. I could never feel disconnected from the people. Their pain became my pain. And for that reason, I wanted to do whatever I could to help them in whichever way I could.
You know, we have Mother Teresa. Today is 5 years that she became a saint, but small things with great love. You have done like her. You have had 59 person. Was easy? Was difficult to take off them from Afghanistan and bring them here?
You know, taking responsibility for other people's lives is very difficult. And I'm not Mother Teresa. I don't ever imagine I would be. But I feel that I am a human being with empathy, just as you are, just as this country is. This country is hosting hundreds of Afghans. They opened their doors, they opened their arms, they opened their country. The journey was not easy. They faced death every step of the way. But we wanted to make sure that they would try and get out as safely as possible with as little difficulty as possible, because each of these people are important individuals who can build any other society that they go into. They had a love for their country, and I am sure they will be great assets wherever they go. But we're human beings, and I think ultimately, in a crisis, you either show that you have empathy and you want to help, or you look away, and I couldn't look away at this moment.
You live in a rich country, you have to go around in rich countries also. Albania, it's not a rich country, but it's a generous country that have opened a door for Afghanistan in this moment. Do you have a message for these rich countries that are so closed?
You know, your Prime Minister said in an interview with the BBC last week, we are a small country, but we have big hearts. We're not a rich country, but we have rich hearts. And he used an Albanian saying that we have, he talked about salt and bread and you know, sharing that with other individuals. He talked about being an Afghan himself once when Albania was suffering. And so I suppose my message would not be to those who didn't take this flood of Afghan refugees, but to the Albanian people who did, who opened their doors, who opened their hearts, who have made all these people feel so welcome. They are so grateful. I've now spent some hours talking to them, and all they can tell me is the generosity of the Albanian people, the hearts of the Albanian people. They said, for example, they go to a small shop here, and the shopkeeper says, take what you want, don't worry about paying. And that is not because, and they've said that it's not because they see them as being poor, but they see them as having gone through hardship. So they want to be able to extend their generosity to them. And this is a very big deal. And I think at a time when people are suffering and they're in pain, to see this kind of warmth and love from other human beings, it makes them feel like they have self-worth. And that is a big thing that Albania has done. I don't think this will ever be forgotten. It's a moment in history, and Albania has put itself at the center of that.
Thank you very much. This trip stop here, or will be another for these people?
I hope that the relationship, the friendship with Albania will continue, and I know it will. I always felt at home when I went to Kabul. I grew up in Sydney, my home is London, but when I would go to Kabul, I felt a sense of belonging. And I have to say, when I landed in Tirana last night, I felt I was in Kabul.
Do you believe that will become another moment that these people, why not and you, to turn back in a free Afghanistan?
You know, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. Afghanistan had this chance post 9/11. Maybe they will have the chance to live to see their country free. I have a small boy, he's 2, and I hope when he grows up, he can go and be in a free Afghanistan.
Let's hope, and thank you very much. And if it's possible, this story of hospitality to tell the world when you do your news.
Absolutely. I mean, we spoke to some of our people here on the BBC. We spoke to the Prime Minister. The world is aware of what Albania has done. A small country, as you say, not a very rich country, but through their generosity, through their big hearts, you have forever linked your story with the Afghan people's story.
Thank you, Yalda.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You.